Hey guys, CW Hollow 1 here. Welcome back to another video, and today we are back down here with a layout update. And as you can see, this thing looks completely different. So it is currently about 9 o'clock a.m. on December 24th, 2016. So happy holidays to everybody. And as a result, that's why I am doing this video, because I am not dead. It's just taken me a very long time. I decided I was going to take all honors this year in high school, and that has resulted in more homework than I expected, although I guess I should have expected it. It's all honors. So I'd like to explain one thing first. If you see a lot of lighting problems, and I know you've seen them throughout the video, and I haven't really done a very good job of explaining it, I'm going to show you that. So throughout this entire layout, the basement's unfinished, there is one light. And that one light is in charge of lighting this entire platform. So someday I really want to get some long fluorescent lamps and put them above the platform to give this a lot better lighting. It'll definitely help the video quality. And that would make this a lot more fun to do, and I also wouldn't have to worry about shadows constantly. Of course, doing videos, you kind of have to worry about that all the time. So despite the lighting problems, we are going to do this video anyway. There is obviously a lot to get done. This layout has changed a fair amount, as you can probably see right off the bat. It's been a very long time since I've done a video, so this is going to be a lot of fun to review. So where to begin? Let's start at the very front. Right off the bat, you can see, if you were paying attention, that this car now has barrels in it. Whoop-de-doo, big update. The bigger thing is that there is now a new siding here. And this is to hold a new engine that's not new. I've had it for a little while. I think I did a review on it. I probably didn't, and I'm just imagining that. But this is my Atlantic Coastline GP9, which has a very big problem that I will show you later. But as a result of putting this siding in, I had to change the shape of this siding, so it's now this very wonky shape that I can't really describe. So back up here at the front, you can see we now have the new and probably biggest update on here, which is this new engine, the Lionel Santa Fe Warbonnet, with 3 passenger cars. And I added this engine because I have lengthened that back siding, and I can now put the 2035 Steamer in this siding, put it in neutral, turn off the E unit so it stays in neutral, and switch these engines around. Now I will most definitely be doing a video on me switching these locomotives around. It may not be that long, but you will finally get to see me, because I will have to anchor this camera somewhere because I need 2 hands to do it, because it involves a lot of switching of E units and running back and forth around the platform, and I'm not sure if you really want to see me just running in circles. So behind this water tower, you can see we have another update, and that is this steam locomotive. It's a pre-war steam locomotive. Wasn't running that great, and I decided I would put that on display, rip out most of the components that makes it run, including the E unit and some of the components of the motor. And I decided I would make the headlight light up when I turn on all the houses and the yard light, instead of taking apart this perfectly good trolley here and making that into just a display piece, basically. And that has become the new centerpiece of the front of the layout. Another thing you may have noticed is, as I said earlier, these barrels are new, and they have come from here, which I decided I found a very old Tonka truck that my father used to own, and still does, and I decided I would take that and put it on the layout. It's a horse trailer, and someday I really want to get some small horses that I can put out the back. And now that the barrels are gone, you could kind of see it in my previous update, or not really an update, it was more of a review, but there are these holes in the platform, and I will explain that now. So back when the layout was upstairs in my bedroom and it was a lot smaller, I decided one year for Christmas that I would put some Christmas lights through the layout. Now to do this, I had to drill a bunch of holes to fit the Christmas lights through. So I did, and that's where these holes come from. Now I have not gotten around to replacing the paper grass, because that would involve ripping up the fence that I handmade, the houses that are glued down, the 156 freight station I could take up, the school is glued down. But this is all mainly one sheet of paper grass that all this is sitting on. And I would have to cut out all that, cut another piece of paper grass that fits in there, put that in. I don't know how I would secure it, but that's what I would have to do. So now that that's been explained, you can now get a better look at this new extension on the siding, but I will get more into detail about that when I get on the other side. But you can see where the new piece of track is because there's no ballast. And I also kind of intruded some space over there that I will show you later. But this is roughly the same thing. I expanded it to fit this in so I could put on a new train. And then it was a lot more fun to do, and it is quite a bit of an experience switching these engines around. I remember the first time I did it, it was a complete disaster, and I was fumbling around with it for like a half hour until I finally got a system down. So that pretty much explains everything from here up to the front of the layout. So now it's time to start on the third, because that's about 2/3 of the layout. Here's the third. And as you can see, there is a lot more scenery, and if you remember from the first layout review, all of this was foam hills, and you can still see where I have one and another, but I have decided that I would put these underneath of the paper grass to make a bit more of a realistic hill. As you can see, the trains still fit, but I have done that in a number of places. First one being there, the second one being here, and the third being here. And this was not originally a hill, but I decided I would make it one. So if you're wondering why this scenery seems so erratic and why there are twigs everywhere and little piles of rocks and trees and patches of grass, this was really just an experiment to get the feel for how scenery was supposed to work. When I did this, I was building a geometry project, which was a 1/42nd scale model of the Black Hills and Fort Pierre Railroad Roundhouse. And when I was doing that, I decided I would make a grass base plate and just put some scenery on it. So this was an experiment for me to figure out how I would do the scenery, and I believe I did a very good job. But this still does look very good, and it was quite a bit of fun to put together, and it now looks a lot more realistic. So now I just need to get more material and do the first 2/3 of the layout, and that will be quite fun because there's a very clear line where the scenery stops. Another new little thing is the addition of this, I believe it's a tuna fish. I don't know much about fish, I don't fish, and it was just a little thing that we had lying around, just like the shark, and we decided that we would set it up. Now, it does not stand on its own, so we were going to set it up against the shark, so it does stand. And we are not going to glue these down, so they're just kind of there, just to add a little bit of humor to the layout. So let's continue moving right along. Now we are on the right-hand side of the layout, and as you can see, when I said over on the left side that I was intruding some space, this is what I meant. I have invaded the playground of this school. So now if this kid wanted to, rather than using this slide, he can use the bumper as a slide. And why they would do that, I have no idea. But it is clear as day, as you can see here, that there is no ballast on this track, and it is clearly brand new. Now that about wraps up this video. Now before I close it out, I'm going to show you this Lionel Santa Fe running around the inner loop. Now this is going to be a bit new for me because whenever I do an engine running by itself, it's always on the outer loop because, well, it's the outer loop, and it is a lot easier to film than the inner loop. I almost forgot! This station has been removed. It is now a freight platform. And one more fair warning, this engine is very, very loud. It runs fine, but it makes quite a racket. So yeah, that just about does it. As you saw, there was the light in the Steam engine on the display track, and as I said earlier, I will now tell you the problem with this GP7. It does not like to run forward. When it runs that way, the headlight turns on, and the cab light turns on, and the beacon light will always remain on. But however, it does not run that way. It will only run that way. And when that happens, it is only this headlight that turns on, and like I said, the beacon light is always on, but the cab light does not turn on. So to get it out of the siding, I kind of have to grab it and then pull it out, and then the rest of it I have to do with the Hudson. But someday, I would really like to put a switch in here, and isolate the two tracks. Now, there will definitely be a bit of a voltage change, and there will definitely be a bit of a wavelength change, considering this is run by a post-war ZW, and this is run by a modern-era CW80, but it will be quite fun to troubleshoot. But I think it would be cool to have the switcher able to pull out the GP7, and then have the rest of it run. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, and subscribe if you would like to see more of these. But yeah, I am CW Holo 1, and have a good day, or maybe good night in your case. See ya.